Hey guys, Gathering the Magic back again, and excited to bring you part 2 of the Secret of Praetoria white paper for phase 2, and this is all about resources. So this is something that I've talked a lot about on the channel, the different resources, what resources will be available on which terrain types, what they're going to be used for, and that kind of thing. This was just released a few minutes ago, so let's get into it. The first post was, of course, revealed the overall economy flowchart, which provided a visual overview of how the entire system will work. This post expands on that by providing more details about how each of the resources in the flowchart. Okay, part 3 will be out early next week. It'll go into more details about the different buildings. So that's going to be kind of exciting too, to find out all the different buildings, what resources it takes to construct them. Maybe also go into the different storage buildings and how those are going to work. Okay. So the continent of Praetoria contains nearly 50 different resources you'll be able to harvest or create in order to ultimately produce item and spell cards. Okay, resources are divided into 5 categories: natural, magical, refined, special, and gemstones. And then they have them broken down below. So one of the main things to look at here, all land plots, with the exception of keep and a castle, will be able to produce a specific kind of natural resource. Each natural resource is listed below, along with a description of how it can be used, in addition to which types of land plots can produce it. And I've talked about this before. Not every type of land type will be able to produce every natural resource. So starting with grain, as we know, they're produced by farms, used as food for workers, and then they can be milled into elemental foods, which are much more efficient. Terrain types, here we go: plains, river, bog, lake. So if you are looking to be self-sufficient in producing your own grain, you're going to want a decent amount of plains, river, bog, or lakes with all of your land. So for example, let's just take a quick look at my 9 plots. So I'm going over to Baron's Toolbox. As you can see, I have mountains, hills, swamp, forest, desert, and then 1 plain. So going by this, once 2.0 goes live, the only plot that I have that's going to be able to produce grain is going to be my 1 plains right here. So I'm going to have to come up with a way of being a little more self-sufficient by getting some more plains, plains, bogs, rivers, or lakes. Okay, so the second natural resource is wood, produced by a logging camp, and also used as a fuel source for resource refining, or to create planks in a sawmill building, and also going to be used in building construction and maintenance. So the different terrain types that can make wood are swamps, forest, jungle, and tundra. So I know I have 1 swamp. So I have 1 swamp and 1 forest. So those I can use to create wood, or harvest wood. Okay, next up is stone, produced by quarry buildings and used to refine into elemental stones, which are needed for building construction and maintenance. Those are available in deserts, canyon, and hills. I believe I have a desert. So I have 1 desert, which is one of my death plots, and then hills. I have 2 hills. And then for ores, there are 5 different types of ores listed below that can be produced by a mine building. The ores are listed in order of common to rare. Higher level mines have higher chances of finding more rare ores. Ores can be smelted into metal bars in a foundry building, which then can be used in item construction and maintenance. So this is one of the things I thought, is ores are going to be the most rare. They're going to be available in mountains and calderas, but now it looks like they will also be available in badlands. So you have 4 types for grain, 4 for wood, 3 for stone, and 3 for ore. So the ore types, rarity, so when you first start out, you're going to be getting a lot of iron, maybe a small amount of aluminum, And then as you level up your mines, you can get copper, titanium, and mithril. Excuse me. Okay, so now we can get into the magical resources, and this we pretty much know. I'm not going to read all of this, but yeah, there's the 6 different magical types, one for each splinter. Um, and then, of course, when you survey your land, it will tell whether you have a magical plot or not, which magical splinter resource it provides. The 7th magical resource is your essences that comes from occupied plots. So what you can do is you can take your essences from your occupied, combine them with your magical resources to create element-specific essences, which then can be used to create element-specific food. That's going to be the big one, stones, and then item and spell cards. Okay, so now let's get into the refined resources. So these you cannot be found or harvested directly from land. These instead are created in special buildings from natural or magical resources. In most cases, natural and magical resources cannot be used until they have been refined. And then it goes along with the different types of refined and how they are made. So lumber, of course, comes from raw wood turned into lumber in a sawmill. It can be used in construction and maintenance. Metal bars, so there's 5 different types of ores that can be smelted into bars. Here's an interesting point, using raw wood for fuel. So not only are you going to need to have the building, the foundry to make the metal bars, and you're going to have to feed your workers grain, you're also going to have to use a certain amount of wood as fuel. So keep that in mind. You're going to have an additional cost to creating these metal bars. The metal bars can be used then in construction and maintenance, and then the higher level buildings requiring bars made from more rare ores. So it's going to be interesting to see what the higher level buildings mean. Does that mean just when you make a foundry, when you get your foundry to level 6, 7, 8, you're going to need the higher level ores? Or are there just unique buildings that require the higher level bars only? Elemental essences can be combined to create elemental essences. For example, if raw essences are combined with vertilium, then it will create life essences. If the raw essences are combined with a spark stone, it will create fire essences, etc. These element-specific essences can then be used to create different types of stones, foods, and eventually item and spell cards. So once again, the big thing here is going to be creating these elemental essences for food. And then the elemental food, grain can be combined with elemental essences in a mill. And then once again, you're going to have to use wood as fuel. So wood is going to be in high demand, not just for helping to construct and maintain buildings, but also in the refining process. So for people that, plan on just, doing a ton of grain because grain's always going to be in demand, there's also going to be a very large market, it looks like, for wood. So if you are someone that has a lot of forests, for example, you're going to have a very good business just, cranking out that wood and putting it on the market. Okay, so the 6 different, and then it lists the 6 different types of foods here. Thought it was kind of cool. Death is called soul food. All right, so we've got elemental stones. They can be infused with elemental essences, and then once again, using wood as fuel in order to create different types of stones corresponding to each magical element. And these are required for constructing and maintaining buildings. So here's another resource that you're going to need to build your buildings and to maintain them. What I'm excited about too to read about in the next one is when they go into buildings, how quickly buildings are going to degrade and how often they're going to require maintenance. Because one thing that I don't think people have really thought a lot about is if you're constructing a building, I think it's pretty obvious you're not producing anything, but your workers are consuming grain. If you're maintaining your building, if you're repairing your building, you are not going to be able to produce anything because your building's in maintenance mode, but you still got to feed the workers. And then once again, if you are upgrading a building, however long that takes, you are not producing anything. You're just consuming grain. So keep those things in mind. So That's another reason why I've been kind of hoarding time crystals. You're going to want to get through that maintenance as quick as possible, or that upgrading, or that construction, so that you're not wasting grain and you're not wasting time not producing anything. You want to get through those phases as quickly as possible. Okay, and speaking of time crystals, this is one of the first special resources that they go through. So time crystals, and here's an exciting part, guys. Time crystals, of course, we know will provide 10K production towards a construction project, including plot clearing, building construction, and building upgrades. So you're going to be able to speed through those phases. Now, one of the phases it doesn't say is maintenance. So if you're repairing a building, I wonder if you can use time crystals as well. So we'll have to see. In the future, they may be applied to other things like item and spell crafting. Here we go. They can be earned in loot chests from ranked battles. So this is huge. So people that, are wondering, well, what, I get my daily reward chest. There's really nothing that exciting about it. If you could start getting a few time crystals, those are going to be extremely useful on land. Plus, this is something that is sellable. Now, it doesn't say here specifically that these time crystals are going to be bound to account. So right now, time crystals are, able to be traded or sold. So this is something in loot chests that you're going to be able to get. Okay, next, mana crystals. They will be required for item and spell cards. It says starting in version 0.3, I think he meant 3.0. These can be obtained exclusively through contributing guild power to your guild. So once again, this is a good reason to be in a guild and to be contributing, because the more guild power you contribute to your guild, the more mana crystals that you get. Trifoil runes are a special resource that is required in the Runology Tower building for scholars to study and produce research tokens to unlock each phase of the Ancient Ruins Reconstruction project. These can be obtained by workers working in the castle or keep buildings for the owners of castle and keep plots. Please see the castles and keep section for more details on how to obtain trifoil runes. So this looks like you're going to have these if you are planning to go heavy into research. And then research is a non-transferable resource, which is created by providing trifoil runes to worker cards in a Runology Tower building. Research earned by a player will increase their contribution scored towards the project. And then once enough research has been generated by all players, then the next phase of the project can begin. The next resource is elixirs. And this is earned by providing liquidity to the different liquidity pools. And then it goes into the amount of the elixir earned per DEC will automatically adjust on a periodic basis as the price of that specific elixir versus DEC in its own liquidity pool. So this is intended to maintain a relatively stable price in DEC for the elixirs, since more will be given out if the price is above the target and less will be given out if it's below. Next resource, desalinization crystals. These will be able to be purchased using DEC or vouchers. So that's cool. So that's another DEC or voucher burn. And let's see, also available in loot chests. So that's going to be another thing in loot chest. Okay, what else? They will be transferable, so they're not bound to account, and available from the internal market, just like most other land resources. Interesting. Okay, so there will be an internal market like most other land resources. So that's telling me that I'm kind of speculating a little bit here, but maybe when the next phase of land goes live, you'll be able to purchase like wood, stone, iron, that kind of thing from the market if it's not out by players yet. So maybe all building construction, I was kind of speculating that once you build a level 1 building, it's probably just going to take DEC because no one has any of the resources yet. But it sounds like right when the next phase launches, you're going to be able to buy those resources to be able to construct your buildings. Okay, so the exact details around the cost of desalinization crystals and the methods for earning them are still to be determined. They can be contributed to the infrastructure projects within each region to gain various benefits for all landowners in the region and earn salt tokens. And then salt tokens can be used, can be mixed with legendary alchemy potions to create enhanced versions of those, which will be transferable. Okay, guys, there you go. So if you have a ton of legendary and alchemy potions sitting in your account and you're like, man, I can't do anything with those, I can't sell them, looks like you're going to be able to. If you can get salt tokens, combine them with your tokens, and those will be transferable, and they will be able to increase the chances of producing higher rarity and or gold foil version of item and spell cards. So legendary and alchemy potions that you haven't used, if you're not someone who buys a lot of packs, those are going to be needed. So rejoice if you have tons of those potions, because you're going to be able to sell them if you want. Okay, gemstones. It looks like this is the last resource section. So these will be used for crafting item and spell cards. Of course, 6 different types for the 6 different splinters. You can get these by contributing to the Ancient Ruins reconstruction effort. They can then be refined in a lapidary building. And then when you refine these, they have 4 possible quality levels. So once you refine them, they can turn into these 4 different rarities. Most, it looks like, are going to be dull, which are common. Bright are rare, gleaming are epic, and brilliant are legendary. The higher level of the lapidary, the higher chance of producing higher quality gemstones. Please note that gemstones will be non-divisible, meaning that players must always have whole numbers of gemstones. Makes sense. You can't polish half a gemstone. Okay, so that's a lot to take in, a lot to kind of think about and kind of go over and just kind of process. The main takeaways that I have here, and one of the things I've talked about, like I said, if you have specific types, terrain types, they're only going to be able to produce certain types of natural resources. So I'm thinking that if you go on Peak Monsters and you look at like plains, rivers, bogs, and lakes, these prices of these terrain types are probably going to trend higher than some of the others, and maybe wood as well, because these are going to be the 2 that people are going to need on a constant basis, especially grain. Everybody's got to feed their workers, and people that own tracts and regions, you know, maybe they have a tract or region that's heavy into forests and swamps. They're really going to be looking for people that produce grain. So not financial advice, but I think I'm going to start looking for at least a couple more plains, rivers, bogs, or lakes for me, just so I can be more self-sufficient for my grain. Okay, guys, there you have it. There is phase 2 of the Secret of Praetoria white paper. Hope you guys enjoyed. As always, thank you for watching. If you have any questions or comments on this white paper, please leave them in the comments below. I'll try to answer your question as quickly as I can. And until next time, stay the course, keep on forging, have fun. See you soon.